Good evening, Rising Star 2 fans. It's Todd from Gilla Games, and last night I did a little bit of a preview of the update that's coming out, and I said it would be today, and I'm trying really hard to get it out today. Late in the day, but still today, at least if you're in the United States. I don't want to spend too much time on the things that I talked about last night, but there's extra things in the update that I didn't even touch on last night, so I want to try to go over everything really quick. I have a full list of the changes that I'm going to post in the comment, or not the comments, but the description, so everybody can see exactly what there is, just in case I skimmed over anything. Well, first thing, real quick, the sparkles on the character avatars here, that means that they are at 100 inspiration. And that tells you that you need to go into songwriting mode to cash those in for some ideas, because any extra inspiration you get will be wasted because you can only go up to 100. So go into write a song mode. Now the write songs mini game has been adjusted for balance so that the ideas are a lot harder to get, the really good ideas. So that way there's room for improvement all the way up to songwriting level 100. And if you can't find a good combination of things, like here's a couple of good ones, but I don't know, this 18, there's no good purples that match, no good greens, so I just want to save these. I'll just drag them down here into the banked area. There's a really good one, and you can save up to 10 ideas in the banked area, and they will never be forgotten no matter how much time goes by, as long as they are in there. So this is a good way to save ideas until you get 4 good ones that work well together and get you the song quality that you need, because the recording contracts now have minimum song qualities as part of the requirements. Repair has a slight change to the interface here. Let me pick one of these. Now, I don't know if a lot of people realize it says right here on the tooltip, but you can right click to repair, so you don't have to click over here, then click over here, then click over here. You can just right click. But if you do click over here, and then you run out of attempts, now this button's going to just be disabled, and clicking it does nothing, and the text changes here, instead of getting a pop-up that you have to dismiss, which is kind of annoying. And also over here, if you right click, instead of getting a pop-up that you have to dismiss, you just get the message up here. The balance tweaks are a really big part of this. Fixed label-based CD sales, which was using the wrong calculation to determine sales. They were way too low before, and what we were seeing is not enough label sales to get up in the charts, and there were way too many sales of t-shirts and CDs at gigs, especially when you were really high level. So those have been reduced to balance. The gig flat rate gig pay for like the larger gigs, the theaters and the arenas, they've been balanced so that they're more where they should be for how popular your band is. And also when you go on tour, you get matched up with a band that is more closer to where you are in popularity. So you're not gonna be a band with, practically zero popularity paired up with somebody who's like 50 or 60 popularity playing arenas, opening slots in arenas. It's not gonna do that anymore. Now you have to build your way up more. You still will get paired with bands that are higher level than you when you're low, so that does help you out get into like theaters and clubs and stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to get into, so it still helps. But it's more of a gradual progression now, like it should be. Speaking of tours, the book a tour option here now is a completely separate pop-up, because there's a lot more information here. You can give a tour a name now. So we'll just call this the Summer 2006 tour, and pick the dates that you want, whatever, just like before. The starting city, this is the tour band that was automatically picked from whatever city was chosen, and it tells you if they have a CD coming out soon, that's the reason why they got chosen, part of the reason. They try to get somebody within 20 popularity of what your popularity is in that city. So if I change cities, say Orlando, it's going to change the band, but it's still going to be similar popularity range. Okay, and then you assign the task, and I'm just going to go ahead and practice a couple songs for a couple of days. Hopefully we get a tour booking. Here we go. So I want to show you something here after the gigs are booked. Okay, calls me, says, okay, here's your tour. Now when you go to your calendar, of course you can see all the gigs here. The name of the tour is put on the gig names on the calendar, so you know that that's part of that tour. But there's also this new button up here on the left on your calendar, upcoming gigs list. Click that, you can see all of your gigs that are coming up, whether they're tour gigs or not. If they are a tour gig, it'll say over here what tour it is. So it's just a good way to get a quick list view of all the gigs you have coming up without having to worry about skipping through different months if you have some planned way in the future. You can see everything that's coming up. You can click on one and see the details, how much pay it is, etc. I also made it so that it's getting smaller record contracts. Like there's 4 tiers of record contracts. The smallest ones are now a little bit easier to get, so that it's a little bit easier early game to progress. But the higher level ones are harder to get. So make it a little bit harder later in the game. Oh, we no longer reduce the band's popularity when a member leaves. People probably didn't even realize this. I know a lot of people are like, hey, why did my popularity go down? And a lot of people, are talking about their band members leaving because they're unhappy and stuff. Well, in previous to this, if a band member left for any reason, your popularity went down. So I just got rid of that because it's just not fun. I doubled the amount of happiness and inspiration you gain from trashing hotels and motels, because with the increased difficulty on songwriting of getting the good song ideas, you're going to need a lot more inspiration to just keep on coming up with ideas until you have the good ideas that you need. So on the converse side, when you play a lot of gigs in a row, like say when you're going on tour like this, after a certain amount of gigs, your happiness and inspiration that you get from the gig starts going down. So after 4 or 5 gigs in a row, you don't gain any more happiness and inspiration from doing that. It's just kind of like a burnout thing. People get tired of doing that. It's always good when you get some time off and then that comes back and then you get to do a gig and you get your inspiration again like you should. Okay, I added the busking feature. Let me go, whoops, pressed the wrong key. Let me go show that real quick to anybody who didn't see. Now the busking feature, you can only do it in parks that are mowed, at least currently. And there's 5 different pre-made songs, I guess. It's different than the live gigs where it's always the same song, at least for now. And it kind of randomly shuffles them. So if you do it 5 times in a row, you won't hear the same one again until you do 5. And depending on if you have guitar, bass, drums, you will hear only those instruments in the music. So it's kind of cool. And I have all 3 instruments in here, plus the singer, who you don't hear any voice, but she's there moving her lips. And you make a little bit of money from tips. But the best thing is your playing skill goes up for free along with the experience, and as long as your playing skill is not too high, you'll get a free playing skill for doing that. And the higher your playing skill is, when you busk, the more money you make, because people tip more when they like the music better. Oh, okay. People have requested this. I accidentally named this, it's supposed to be Under Control, this song. Well, other people have talked about this where they fat fingered their song titles and now it's like that forever. Well, now you can rename a song. Done. Now it's under control. Simple. Now that affects all the CDs that it's already on. See, it's called that on the CD now. So it's something that is kind of weird because in real life you couldn't do that. If it's something misspelled on a CD, it's like that forever. But whatever, it's a game. When you wrote songs in before, you'd get the quality from the game, and then when you practiced, it would go up a little bit more as you practiced. Well, I took away that. It's what you get when you're finished writing it. That is the final song quality, and that's part of the, making it harder to get higher song quality, because it was too easy to get just, once you got far enough in the game, your songwriting skill was high enough, you could get nothing but 100 point songs all day. So that was too easy. Had to make it more difficult. Go in. Okay. So these songs have all been recorded before, and they've been released on a CD. So why are they here as an option to record? Well, if it's been recorded less than 100% in the past, you have the option of re-recording it now. So here's a checkbox here to view all the songs already at 100% quality. So if you do that, you can see everything. But by default, you probably don't want to see them all. So let's say I want to record Stuck in a Tree, and let's go 100% quality on this one. It was 61% before. Okay, now it's not showing because it's 100%. Stuck in a Tree. Okay, so now let me look at the song list. And if you see, it says, instead of just recording quality, it says best recording. It's only going to show you the best recording, because that's most of the time all you care about. But if you click into it, Stuck in a Tree, down here you can see that there's 2 recordings. It shows you the best recording on here as well, but it says, hey, there's 2 recordings. You can click here to see all of them. And now it keeps track of what date it was recorded and the quality, and also the producer. But anyway, you can see that the old one has been released on a CD, but the new one is not. And I didn't save the recording dates on old ones, so any older songs are just going to say unknown for the recording date. So there you go. You can re-record your great songs and make them even better. Okay, on the settings dialog, there's a new option for Evolve Musician Compatibility, and it's going to be turned off by default now, whereas it was on before all the time. And what that meant is when you look at your band info, these relationship lines, these compatibility lines, of course, green is good, yellow is in the middle, and red is bad. And over time, they would change as long as the relationships are evolving. And that just adds kind of a, more of a challenge to, manage your members and keep them happy and stuff like that. But a lot of people, it's just a really big frustrating part of the game for them. So now you have the option to turn it off. Once you find people who have green lines for the relationship, they will stay green forever. So the only reason they'll get unhappy is for other reasons, like not being involved in songwriting and they got high ego or whatever. There's a few different things. Being sick. But they won't get unhappy because of the relationships unless you have a red relationship, and that's just what you got in your band. But it will always be red if you turn off the evolving. All right, another cool thing that I added was a confirmation dialogue. Let me load up a different game here. Let's see here. Dog Bidet Afternoon, my favorite band name in this game. Okay, so now I'm in Miami. I have a gig today. Now, if I go to do something that would make a day pass, which would cause me to miss my gig, in the past, it would just do it. And then all of a sudden, you look on your calendar and you have a red entry that says skipped. And sometimes you do that without even realizing it, because you write a song, or you practice, or you record a song, and you just forgot that you had a gig that day. Actually, I'm just going to show first so it's quicker. Okay, let's say I want to record. Actually, it's showing you a different restriction here. Instead of what I was telling you about, this is part of a recording contract. I currently have a recording contract, and it's kind of a major label one. It's tier 3 out of 4, so it's a higher ones. Now, the first time you get a major recording contract, the label will now force you to use a producer of their choice. And studio, well, not studio, but city. You can use any studio in that city, but that producer is from that city. So you have to go there and record with that producer. And it'll also tell you here, it must contain at least 4 songs of 70 or higher quality. So there's more restrictions on requirements, what you need to do here. So I can't record to show you that other feature. I'll just go back to a hotel and check in. Writing a song takes a day, so let's say oh yeah, got some great ideas here, whether I actually do or not. Look at this, no greens? That work? It's crazy. Okay. That's some pretty good ideas. Okay. Great idea, and then I go to write the song. Now I get this warning. If you write a song now, you will miss a gig. Because I have a gig today, and writing a song makes time pass. So you can say, oh no, oops. Or you can just do it. Say, screw that gig. Look at your calendar, now it's gonna say skipped. And of course, your manager is gonna lose satisfaction, you're gonna lose some reputation in the city and the venue if it's a small venue. So don't skip gigs if you can help it. There was a bug that was reported that could result in negative t-shirt sales. That would happen if you set your price on your t-shirts way too high, and it would, it's set up so that the higher it is, the lower, the less you sell. But I didn't have it capped at 0, so you set it too high, it would actually go into the negatives for how much you sold, which turned into you actually gaining t-shirts instead. Oh, there was a bug that was preventing other bands from watching your gigs to support your band. So when you're in your hometown and you've got these relationships with all these other bands, it's not just you going to see them. Eventually they come and see you, but it wasn't showing up on the screen. There was a bug preventing that. So that's fixed, and now you'll be able to see when these other bands are coming to see you. It's in the gig results. That was supposed to be there the whole time. That was in the first game, and there was just a bug preventing it in this one. I fixed a bug where if you're sitting at a theater or let's see here, any large, like a theater or a stadium, chauffeur over there, and then you chauffeured to a park or somewhere else, the venue calendar button was stuck. That's been fixed. When adjusting the venue reputation, it was adjusting the city reputation by the wrong amount. It was way off. So that was really bad if you skipped a gig. For some reason you skipped a gig, and then the reputation at the venue was to go down a lot. It was like 20 or something like that. And it was only supposed to go down for the city overall by 1/10 of that, so it would be like 2. But it was actually going down a lot for the city too, and ended up being in the negatives. So that's fixed. Non-musician NPCs, non-musician characters that are in the game, like standing around in the bars or watching you when you busk, will no longer wear spandex pants. Spandex pants are now reserved only for the musicians on the stages. And male NPCs will no longer wear the high heel boots. Of course, musicians still can, but just people standing around won't. Okay, so, here we go. If you buy something now, it's going to remember how much you paid for it, and it's going to put it in here. It'll bought for blah, blah, blah. And this is just a little bit of information so that if you're buying things, repairing them, and selling them, you have an idea if you're making money or losing money on the sale. Because you might want to shop around to different music stores, because you do get different prices at different music stores. I think that is about it. So I hope I covered everything, and I totally expect there to be some kind of problem that somebody runs into that somehow I missed. Just get in the forums if you see any new problems, and just report bugs there. I know that's just how software development goes, unfortunately. I've been just doing all of the testing myself, and this is a lot of changes for one person to be testing. That's why it's been taking so long to get this update out. So hopefully it's all smooth and at least better than it was before. And I really recommend that everybody who has games that are far into it, or even just a little bit into it, start a new game, because it's going to be a whole different balance, a whole different feel to it and stuff. You do the busking early on. The songwriting is going to be different. Just everything's different progression, and I'm hoping that it's a more gradual progression where it's a little bit easier, in the beginning. Maybe not too much easier, because it's not too bad right now, but gives you a little bit more to do. And then, but once you get past that hump of getting a record deal, a manager and a record deal, and going on tour, that it still continues to be challenging, instead of just money's flying in, all over the place, and you don't have to worry about anything. So that's the goal. Hopefully it stays challenging all the way up through getting major label record contract, and make it challenging to get that #1 album, that everybody wants to get. And that's about it. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching again. All the usual stuff: like, share, tell your friends, etc. All right, I'll see you guys in the forums.